Good evening, everyone. This is your sewing seamstress, and I'm here to share with you my $4 gem. Yep, $4. That's how much I paid for this particular Brother XL-6525. And then it's the shipping and handling. But the question is, was it a deal, or did I just waste about $20? Or was it really a golden egg, so to speak? Well, when you do online auctions and things like that. And I got this through Goodwill. I get a lot of vintage machines that way at a really great price, even though all Goodwill has to do is they just plug it in, make sure it turns on. That's all they have to do. And it's as is, for parts, because they don't specialize in them. And those of us who do, you do have the opportunity to ask a lot of questions before you purchase it. Like this didn't even come with a foot pedal, but I always have a spare Brother foot pedal laying around somewhere. And I looked at the model, looked it up, and it has 7 stitches, probably 38, but on face value, there's 37 stitches. It's not a bad machine to have, especially with the stitch variety that's on this machine. And so your more modern machines, and this is the most modern one I've got in my home here, are mostly plastic, which, as you know, if you know anything about me, I don't like plastic, but if it's a decent machine, as long as you're be good to it and you don't beat up on it, it should last. It really should, as long as you keep up with me, out of harm's way, so to speak. So I've looked at a few things on whoever owned this before was not nice to it. They were not nice to it. When I opened the box, I knew that it didn't have the foot pedal. And I vaguely remember it saying that there was no bobbin door that goes on top, the little plastic door that goes on top. And I thought, oh, that's only like $5 or $6. And the first thing I did was take a look at that. And in the description, it says it runs. Well, it runs, but it also said the needle doesn't go up and down. The reason why the needle didn't go up and down was because of this. Now you're going to wonder, how did I figure that out? Well, when the belt is intact inside a machine, if it's on the gears and it's not worn away and it's not stretched out of shape, that needle should go up and down unless your bobbin inside has got something constricting it, thread wrapped around or anything like that. So I turned the hand wheel and the needle goes up and down. So I thought, well, it's something else. So I took the 2 needle plate screws out of, that's the manual printing. Took the 2 needle plate screws out to take the needle plate off. Now this needle plate, I'm going to show you, it's really, really dirty. It's like whoever did not take care of this machine. There's some sparks on the back of it where it's been banged up against something, but it runs. So there's no motor issues. Now, one thing that I do when I'm disassembling a sewing machine is I'll either draw a sketch of the whole machine out, or as I take the screws out, I'll do what I've done here. I take a 3x5 card, and I drew just a basic outline of what the back of the sewing machine looks like. And on there, I put the 3 spots where there's screws on the top, and then there's 1 screw on the bottom. And I even outlined one of the actual screws, put it on there, so I know this screw goes in this top. The one that goes down here is just like, and I just dropped it. Just like this screw, there's one that's different. It's a little smaller, and this one actually goes on the back, on the base part. There's a screw that goes into the light casing where the light goes. I've already ordered a new one. $3. Fourth one right there. That goes in the screws, or I don't know if y'all can see. That's how the needle plate screws are. All your needle plate screws are cut like that because it has to be flush on top. So when the fabric goes across it, it doesn't snag. So I took I looked at the machine and I looked at the back, and you can tell where the front is connected just by where the screws are. I took the 3 screws out of the top in the back here, and I'll show you where I took all these screws out. First, I took the needle plate off because I wanted to see if the bobbin casing would even turn, and it does. Remove the free arm. This is the free arm attachment. Remove that. This thing was filthy, by the way. It was actually nasty. And I turned this machine around. I've already up here. There's 1, 2, 3. These 2 screws are the same size, and this is the short. Here on the bottom in the corner, took that one out, and I went to open it, and there was 1 screw holding up the works, and it was, and you'll find this on most Brothers. It wouldn't come off because of this 1 screw right here. I'm gonna bring this closer so you can actually see. Hopefully, I don't mess up my recording. It is right here. This screw right here. Let me point to it. There's a little screw right here at the end of the screwdriver, and that is just below the thread arm. Okay, it's just below the thread arm. Let's see if I can readjust this a little bit. Okay, so then they snap together. So to unsnap it, you just have to lift up over the top of these discs, which are the stitch length and width discs, and then that front comes right off. That's the front. The front comes right off. See? That front comes right off. Now, the screws that I took off of the back plate, and the reason why I know this machine was abused specifically is because one of these screws is extremely rusted. It should never be rusted, not like this. So they either lost the real screw or they spilled stuff on this machine, or spilled something on the table next to it and it got on the screws. So the 1 screw here that has the rust on it, I'm going to soak that in some rust remover just for sewing machine screws because it's the right thing to do. And as you'll see inside the front, so this is all going to get wiped out. I wash it down with alcohol. It doesn't hurt the plastic. It gets the dirt out a lot better. And it dries very quickly. The alcohol, cleaning up, using it to clean it with, it dries fairly quickly. So I just have I have a paper towel back here, and I get 91% alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, and I'll keep a little bit in a dish like this. And Q-tips are my best friend. I use those for the little cracks and crevices. I'm going to take this paper towel, dip it in there, and start cleaning the inside of the front of this machine. Dust in it per se, but there's dirt in here, which I don't understand. Other than it was not kept covered up. It was not kept in a case. Didn't come with a case when I got it. And this was just something that was dumped off. Someone decided they were finished abusing it, didn't want to use it anymore. And when I get done with it, it'll be all nice and spick and span. So I plugged it in. I'm going to put the front right down here. I plugged it in and it ran. It runs. The motor runs. But the needle would not go up and down for one reason, and it was the belt. Now this belt, I'll put this light back up here so you can kind of hopefully see it better. This belt it doesn't look like it's in bad shape, but it appears to either accidentally popped off of the motor or it's stretched out of shape. What I'm going to do before I purchase another one is I'm going to try to put it back on there. Now the tricky thing is with these, to put it back on, I'd have to take this whole part off. I took the screw out of this so I can take that comes off from where the light is, the light portion. And if I wanted to remove the back here, I could do that. Play with the belt, and that's usually the right way to do it. So let me see what screws they got hiding for me. It's holding the unhooked. There's the power plug. There's this. I don't see any screws right in here. So I'm going to flip it on its back side and see what's on the bottom. So on the bottom, it looks like that may be what's holding it on there. Double check. That's not attached. That isn't attached. That's not attached, and that's not attached. I'm going to flip it on its head just for a second. Very gently. I don't see any screws in the bottom there or in that back portion anywhere. So it looks like it should come right off. And it looks like it should. So I'm going to keep looking around, see what I can find for this to be able to get this off of here. Now these guys, it appears, and now I do see one spot right here. There's a screw right in here. It goes from this metal to the plastic portion. And it's not red, so that's a good sign. Let's see if I can get the screwdriver in there. There we go. And as long as I can get it turned, we'll have that one little screw. And that might be the only one holding it in place, because it kind of looks that way. Okay. I'm going to try to do this real careful so I don't lose it inside here. And just gingerly take it out with my fingers to see if that's what's holding it to the plastic. And that's what looks like it's the only thing holding it in there. There's that. There seems another one somewhere. Let's see. Shall we? Oh, maybe not. Might be just where the plug is. And honey. Let's see if I can get it to come up over the power switch. And just kind of pop it off. And it's coming off little by little. You don't want to force it. You don't want to pull something apart that you're not going to be able to put back together. And I got this up just a second. Oh. So this can come right this way. Now, this is where I'll see if I've got a hidden screw somewhere, because they like to hide them on me. And that's just the plastic trying to pop back in place. Do I have? Nope, but I do need to get the lever out of the way. For all intents and purposes, this should come off without a hitch, so to speak. And if it doesn't, it's no big deal, because I can now get the belt in there just by it being loose like that. I did notice this knob is cracked, so I may want to replace it or super glue it, because you don't use a lot of tension on that. And take that belt. Now, what's nice about this belt, like I said, it's not in really bad shape, is you can still read the item number on it, which is wonderful. And this belt is supposed to go and try to get it to fit around it. I have, and down to that motor, right down there, and then see about if it turns. Now, one thing, I'm trying to get it around, totally around this gear, so I can see if I can adjust the motor. See, that's something else people don't realize is these motors are actually adjustable. This could have been dropped, and that's why the belt came off. And it could be, that may be the only reason why it came off, because it's actually pretty snug on there like that. So my guess is this machine. So if I don't have to buy a belt, that'd be great, because belts can be anywhere from $11 to 20 something out. I noticed underneath there's some rust under there, and I'm going to put a little light on the subject here so you can see where I have put the belt back on. As you can see, the belt is back on there, not sagging, which is that means it just got popped off somehow. I don't know how. This piece up here that the bobbin goes onto appears to be broken, but I don't think it's going to deter from it being able to be used, because I mean it snaps in place, just snaps in perfectly. So let's see. I'm going to plug it in and see just what kind of good news this little brother's going to give me, hopefully. I'm going to put that little light there, plug it in, and let's see if this baby will turn that needle up and down for us. It's on. And the pedal is right here. Let's see. Well, look at that, guys. Can you believe that? This baby is going to be wonderful. I just saved myself $11 for getting a new belt. All I had to do is put the belt back on the gear and back on the motor. I didn't even have to adjust the motor. So, like I said, I ordered the door for the bobbin casing. That's coming. That was literally $4, $5, something like that. And I already have my gear grease and machine oil to give it a nice little once over maintenance wise, and clean up all the dirt in it, put it back together. And for less than 20 bucks, it was $17 for me to get this. $17 for this beautiful machine. That, after I test the stitches and whatnot, I think it's going to be a good one. I think this is going to be a really great brother machine. It didn't get much love, but it's going to get some now. And up in this section, this is where your stitch dial is, because if you on the front of it, these little notches on this black wheel change with the stitches when you change the stitches. When you change the dial, you change the stitch. And the only other thing that I didn't see until just before I started looking at the belt to see what was going on with that is the post that the thread goes on. The spool of thread is broken off. So I don't have any place to mount a spool of thread. Yeah, I'm ordering one of those. I'm ordering a replacement. Or I actually have another brother sewing machine that I use for parts. I may take the one off of it since it's not needing that part. And if I can put it on this machine, it'll go on here. So all in all, a light bulb, a cover, and a spool holder, less than $10, plus 17, 27 bucks, maybe 30 tops. And I've got a good machine that would go for at least 150. So, don't be afraid to take and open up a sewing machine. Just remember where you took the screws out. And I'm excited now because I don't have this. The belt was just off of the gears, and it's good and tight. It's not like loose. So somewhere either in shipping or however these people that owned it before had abused the poor thing, it slipped off. When I opened it up, the belt was literally off, and I go, that's not good. But all in all, like I said, I had a rusty screw that I'm going to soak that rust right off of that thing. I may just take my Dremel to it. So when you open a machine up and you've got a belt that's working, this belt looks almost brand new. Now how it got off of there, I don't know. It, like I said, it had to have been jerked around or something. Once you get to that point and you've got, you know your needle's going up and down, like this one's going up and down. It's awesome because this one also has the automatic needle threader attachment to it. It's going to need a little bit of TLC. It has the guide for doing buttonholes, which is fabulous. Then I turn it to on its backside, like this. So look at the underside of it. So you want to look at the underside of this machine. And there is some rust on this gear down here. So that could be oxidation, or it could be that something got splashed up into it, because I noticed there is a rusted screw here also. So my guess is someone splashed something on it, tried to clean it up, and it stayed wet on the bottom. And on this one gear bar in here, there is a gear that will need gear grease. It has good grease on some of the other ones. I think that whoever had it, once they popped that belt off, they didn't know how to deal with and how to work with it. And so now it's in my hands, my loving little hands. There's a lot to this machine. There's another belt in here that I've never seen one of those go bad, but that's it's a gear belt. That's the motor belt, and this is a gear belt. But then we'll test out the timing on it, make sure the timing's right. But in the meantime, it just needs a good bath. Needs a nice bath, good cleaning up, get the rust out of it. And I'm going to sand off the rust off of this this main bar down here. Because it's like really, we're talking rusty. That's rust. And put a little bit of machine oil in there. Get it in there good. That's actually surface rust. As long as it's not into the metal, that's not bad. That's really not a bad sign. When the rust gets into the metal, like starts eating away at it, that's when you have to replace parts. This one's not going to need to be replaced. It's surface rust from something that was splashed into it. That's the only way that could happen. Otherwise, it still would be lubricated with some machine oil. When you open up a machine like this to either refurbish or use for yourself, and you find a little bit of rust, get a white cloth, wipe it. If it comes off, if all of it comes off, then it's just a surfaced, I call it air rust. And you can oil it, or you can go ahead and take a little bit of a wire brush to it. I've got a wire brush in my toolbox, and get the rest of it off of there. I'm going to clean this little brother 6562 up, XL-6562. And this is going to be a great, great sewing machine for somebody. I don't know who's going to want it, but somebody will want it. I'm just going to have fun fixing it. I like a challenge. And with the Tri-Flow clear synthetic grease, you can't go wrong. It's the best stuff out there. And this is a Dritz machine oil. I love the extended spout. So I'm going to keep this bottle and just keep refilling it, because it reaches down into the little spots that you don't always see that do need to have a drop of oil once in a while. So this brother, now you tell me. In the comments, I want you to let me know. Did I get a deal or what? Or did I waste my money? I know what I think. I know how I feel. And the fact that I only have to put maybe $10 back into it and a little bit of elbow grease, I'd say it's a golden egg or Easter egg, whatever you want to call it. It's not a bad thing. So leave me a thumbs up if you've liked this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you want to see more videos like this, there'll be a follow-up. If you'd like to see the follow-up video, tell me that. It's like, I want to see the follow-up. I want to see that machine and how it stitches. And I'll be more than happy to do that as soon as I get it all cleaned up. And hey, if you feel that you want to see more and you want to be one of the first ones to see it, that's how you subscribe. So you subscribe so that you can see more of this. But if you don't subscribe, that's okay. Just come back and visit. Just do like I've been